Welcome to Webgility Recap, a series of videos aimed at getting you started using Webgility. In this video, we'll go over the scheduler, the Webgility desktop automation tool, and we'll talk about what it does and how to set it up properly. When logged into the Webgility desktop software, you'll see a clock at the top right of the application. If the clock is gray, that means the scheduler has yet to be opened or run. When you click on the clock, it should turn green. This means that it's opening the scheduler as a separate process on your computer or server, and generally the scheduler window should open automatically on your screen, but if you don't see anything after a couple of moments, you can go to your system tray at the bottom right hand of your screen, right-click on the Webgility icon, and then open the scheduler manually by clicking on the Settings button. Once open, you'll see a couple different tabs for settings, and we'll go over what each of them are for. To start, you'll see Store and System at the very top. The Store tab is where all of the order and inventory automation rules will live, and we'll start here. You'll also see a Current Store Profile option with a drop-down menu that allows you to select which store you're going to edit the automation rules for. This means that if you have multiple stores and want to independently change the settings for each of them, you'll do that by selecting the store from the drop-down and changing the settings accordingly. Under the Configuration tab, you'll see Online Store Tasks and QuickBooks Tasks. These settings will keep the miscellaneous parts of both your store and QuickBooks up to date. Generally, the setup you'll want here is to click the Download Configuration option, the Download Customers option, and Download Other Data, as the items for both your store and QuickBooks will be taken care of in the Product tab specifically. You can set the time interval for both these options to whatever you'd like. Even 24 hours is a good option here, especially if you aren't updating those miscellaneous fields too often. The next tab will be the Orders tab. This is where you'll tell the scheduler how often you want it to download orders from your store and post them to QuickBooks. The big things you'll want to be aware of here are the download orders and post to QuickBooks options. These are the bread and butter of the schedule tool, and the default interval here is a good place to start. Be wary of setting these times to anything shorter than 15 minutes, as your computer might not get through all the orders or processes it needs to work through in that time, which can cause some issues in order posting. If you use our shipping module and want to be able to post your updates back to the store or to close the order and send any relevant tracking data, you can use the Post to Store option here as well. Under the Products tab, you'll be able to enable our Inventory Sync option. Enabling the Product Scheduler will allow us to sync the data from QuickBooks to your store or vice versa. Generally, it's a good rule of thumb to sync data to your store and use QuickBooks as the master, but depending on your subscription, you could do it the other way around if needed. Additionally, you can tell the scheduler if you want to sync the price, the quantity, or both. Much like the Orders tab, you can leave the interval here at the default 1 hour and play around with it to suit your needs. Be aware of these lower time intervals though, and if you run into trouble, you can fix it by raising the time in between actions. Under the Notifications tab, you can disable the notifications that pop up when the system completes an action. I generally recommend leaving this unchecked to begin with and coming back to disable if they come an issue. Every time the scheduler completes an action, you'll see a notification pop up in your system tray, allowing you to see that something was completed. So clicking this button will hide those notifications. Leave them off to start. Finally, under the Systems tab, you'll be able to choose if you want the scheduler to run on startup, if you want to send the activity report of the scheduler automatically, and enable the backup of the Webgility database. You'll want to check all three of these as they're a good thing to have set up. For the backup folder, we'll generally want to save it to the drive that the Webgility was saved or installed to, under which case you'll save it directly there. Set the period to daily, and the backup time to a time that the computer is on, but nobody is using it. We'll keep the retention days to 3, but you can set it to up to 15 days. Just be aware that each time it saves one of these databases, you're going to have 15 copies of your database on the computer. This could be an issue if your computer is slow or old or it doesn't have a whole lot of disk space left. Always remember to save any of your changes that you make in the scheduler, and try not to make changes while the scheduler is running if possible. If the scheduler is currently running and you need to make changes, you can right-click on the Webgility icon at the bottom right hand of your system tray and hit stop to stop it from running. Be aware that the start button inside of the scheduler does not change to stop once it's running, so I recommend, again, using the system tray at the bottom right to either stop or start the application. One last note is that if you're planning on posting or downloading orders or syncing inventory manually inside of Webgility, that you'll want to turn the scheduler off first. This prevents any double posting or errors from occurring in the event the scheduler completes that action as well. The settings we discussed here are a basic setup, and depending on your workflow, may require some tweaking. So if you have any additional questions or settings not touched in this walkthrough, reach out to our support team or your implementation specialist to make sure that you're taken care of. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.